So I'm Jess. I am a PhD research student at Harper Adams with the Department of Agriculture and Environment. My work's looking at mouldy feed and how that affects the rumen, so the first kind of stomach of the cow, and how we can improve the performance and the health of cows by looking at how to mitigate those moulds growing in the feed. I think the coolest thing about my job role is the fact that the research I'm doing, a lot of other people or a lot of my friends that are sort of doing research degrees, they're doing things that are quite abstract, whereas my research itself, and I think it's generally can be said for a lot of Harper research, is that it's all focused on real world problems. So you've got people writing, reports about this is happening on farm, or we've got these issues, and a lot of the work that we're actually doing at Harper is focused on tackling those real world problems. And it's exciting that my research could potentially, be put straight into the world. So I loved biology, always loved biology, and I was interested in science, but I had absolutely no idea until probably just the beginning of university that agriculture has so much science in it. So coming from a non-farming background, I didn't really realise how much science goes into it. You've got things like precision farming, we've got the Future Farm here at Harper, so that's all autonomous. So that's a lot of technology, obviously engineering that comes into it. Me personally, it's biology, so I'm looking at the interactions between fungi and then microbes that are in the cows. So it encompasses pretty much all of STEM really, and that's really exciting. So STEM is science, technology, engineering and maths, and I use all four of those things on a daily basis. Science, because we're looking at the real world implications of our research. Technology, because we're using obviously sort of state-of-the-art facilities and state-of-the-art equipment. Engineering, because obviously that comes into the technology that we've got. We've got a great engineering department. And maths, we use that on a daily basis. I think the really cool thing is that my research project is actually aligned with a company. So Harper's got, I'm sure you've heard, fantastic connections with industry, and my supervisor is very well renowned for his research, and he's actually managed to establish a partnership with an industry partner. So all of my sort of work that I do, I can actually contribute to industry, and you've got that really nice link coming through there. So eventually when I leave school, it'll be great to see if I could go and work with them or see what I can do with them. So it's really nice to have those relationships together, and it's something Harper's really good at. There's real strong connections between industry and obviously the stuff that they actually teach at Harper and the research that we also carry out. I think unexpected would potentially be, I think I was a bit naive when I first came to Harper, expecting a lot of the other students to be very farm oriented or come from rural backgrounds. But it's not the case. We've got students from all over, from loads of different places, lots of different backgrounds, who are all interested in agricultural specific research topics and subjects. So I've got friends from Brazil, I've got friends from Africa that have come over, and it's really nice because it's unexpected, because I think you think, oh, it's agriculture, it's a very specific set of people that are involved in it, but it's really not the case. Most useful, I think, again, lots of different people from different places coming in to talk about your research with you, because you get different perspectives. So I could be talking about something to do with my dairy cows, and then I could have another student saying, oh, well, that's not quite how we do dairy over in India or wherever. And it's really cool to try and work together to see how it could be applied to different places. yeah, it's really useful to get different people's insight on how your research could be not just beneficial to the UK where we are at the moment, it could be beneficial to places worldwide, which is really, really useful to see. I think definitely the research that I'm doing is exciting because it is at the forefront of looking at mycotoxins, so toxins in the feed, so the fungi that we get in the cow's feed. It's exciting because the companies that are working towards trying to solve these issues with industry, we actually get to have an input in what they're doing and speak to them about those issues. It's super exciting to know that what we are actually figuring out here or trying to find out could actually be implemented by farmers even locally or worldwide, because I think you don't necessarily tend to get that with more abstract research, and because the agricultural research that we do at Harper is so applied, it's really nice to get so hands-on and actually feel like you're contributing to helping with solving issues such as climate change and food security and that kind of thing. So yeah, really, really exciting. So I'm looking at dairy cows, and in a dairy cow they have a sort of first stomach called a rumen, and when they eat silage, which is fermented grass that we feed them, sometimes that silage can be poorly made and it contains some moulds, and those moulds can produce quite horrible toxins, so things like carcinogenic things, so things that can cause cancer, things that can suppress their immune system. And unfortunately, it's not always the case that just because we see mould on the feed that they actually are producing those toxins, and vice versa. So you might have a feed that looks relatively fine or healthy, but it's actually got moulds in it producing those toxins. And it can cause lots of issues with the cow. So the first thing is when they eat it, it can interact with their microbes in that first stomach. And if you've got a toxin that's antibacterial, for example, or antibiotic, it can be sort of killing off and upsetting their stomach, so they can't actually get the nutritive value from their food that they're eating. So they can't produce as much milk, they can't produce as good quality milk, and it can also cause problems just with their health in general. So it's all about improving herd health and efficiency so that we can then feed more people with less stress to the cows, less stress on their health, less stress on the environment. Yeah, it's all to do with sort of food security in the end. Dairy is obviously a big proportion of people's diets worldwide, and a lot of people rely on dairy, especially sort of small subsistence farms. And cows obviously can gain a lot of nutritive value from eating grass. We can't eat grass, we don't get anything from grass. But obviously cows eating grass, they can then convert that into milk, which then can be converted into yogurts and cheeses. Obviously if you've got beef as well, that's eating grass and turning it into meat protein that we can then consume. So it's a way of harnessing the grass that we've got growing and turning it into actual metabolizable energy that we can eat. With climate change, unfortunately, it's supposed to be getting wetter and warmer, which might mean that there's more instances of fungi. So you might get more fungi growing in the feed. So it's really important that we try and tackle these problems now, because in the future, if it gets worse, we hopefully should already have some solutions in place to try and prevent that from causing issues with the cows. I've always been interested in finding out why. And that was even from such a young age. I've always sort of poked things with sticks and tried to investigate things, and I was always asking Mum and Dad, like, why is this, why is that, why is this happening, why is that happening? And they were always like, well, we don't know, we can't answer it. And I think it's that curiosity that sort of drove me to keep finding out answers to things. And I think our generation especially, we're faced with so much media coverage on climate change and food security, that it's something that I think we're all very passionate about, and I mean, everyone loves food. So I kind of drew those two things together, and I started asking questions about why can't we feed everybody? Why can't we improve this? You know, how do we improve that? And it kind of led me down a path to sort of science really in general. So I went and studied biology, and then I just carried on asking questions why, and I have personal love for animals as well. And it kind of led me to sort of looking at animal production and how to improve the food industry through that avenue basically.